Welcome to the Legacy Leadership Podcast, where we help Christian founder led nonprofits get funded so that you can lead well, live whole, and leave a legacy. Today, we are on the fourth part of a review, kind of walkthrough, really, of a book called Winning with People by John Maxwell. I've shared already, if you've listened to my other episodes, how impactful this book has been for me. It is probably one of my top three favorite books. I read it almost 20 years ago. I still refer back to it all the time when I'm doing coaching and I'm just connecting with people and relationships. And so I'm really excited to share the next series of this book. The book is broken into 5 different parts, and each part is kind of around a particular question and then some principles under that. And so today we're going to look at the investment question. Are we willing to invest in others? And there's 5 principles underneath this. The first is the gardening principle. All relationships need cultivation. The 101% principle. Find the 1% we agree on and give it 100% of our effort. The patience principle. The journey with others is slower than the journey alone. The celebration principle. The truest test of a relationship is not only how loyal we are when friends fail, but how thrilled we are when they succeed. And then the high road principle. We go to a higher level when we treat others better than how they treat us. And so the first principle here, the gardening principle, is that all relationships require cultivation. And I think this one's interesting is that we can't neglect relationships and expect them to grow. The same way that I can't neglect my plants, watering them and giving them sunlight and everything else and expect them to grow. I can't neglect my relationships and expect them to grow, expect them to improve, expect them to get better. And so there's a few different ways that John Maxwell talks about to keep cultivating our close relationships. The first is commitment. And I think this is probably the biggest and most important one is, are we committed to the relationship? He talks about marriage. He says there may be nothing more important in a marriage than the determination that it shall persist. And it's really that commitment. What are we committed to? What level are we committed to in this relationship? Um, Thomas Paine said that what we obtain too cheaply, we esteem too little. It's dearness only that gives everything its value. And so it's actually in those difficult times, in those difficult situations, in those difficult seasons, and working through those, being committed through that, that actually increases the cost that we paid for this relationship. So commitment's the first way to cultivate close relationships. The second is communication. We need to communicate with others. Communication, or the lack thereof, is one of the fastest ways to create disconnection. That when we stop communicating with somebody, we're disconnecting from that person, especially if the lack of communication is intentional. I'm intentionally not communicating with you. That is one of the fastest ways to bring disconnection to a relationship. Number 3 is friendship. That sometimes we take for granted the people that are close to us, and as a result, we often neglect being good friends to them first. That if we want to cultivate relationships, then part of it is being friends, having those friendship, doing things together that you would enjoy doing together. The next is making memories. That shared memories are a wonderful source of connection and bonding for people. And so, again, even as I'm thinking through these things and talking about them, looking at them through a fundraising lens, that there is something about creating memories together. That even in my partnerships, some of my absolute best partnerships that I've had over the years were people that came on mission trips with me. That when I was leading a mission trip and somebody came on a mission trip and we had this shared experience together of serving overseas, some of those people became some of my closest supporters and partners. I remember people when I was doing my youth ministry, and we had this big, large youth ministry. Some of the people that were our closest and dearest supporters, partners, were people that came and volunteered. They would come on a Tuesday night and they'd help set up the snack table, or They would come out and help us run a youth camp. And some of those people became some of our biggest partners and supporters. We had a shared relationship because of the memories that we created together. The next is growth. That as we grow together, as we share with people, as we learn together, we're growing together, that cultivates the relationship. And then the last one, I think this one's kind of, just makes me smile that John Maxwell talks about is he says, spoiling each other. You can't go wrong with spoiling anybody. And so I think that's a great one. It's just like thinking about the other person and what does it look like to spoil them. And so even within a partnership, a funding partnership and supporting, am I recognizing the relationship well? Am I sending them a thank you card? Am I recognizing them on Facebook? Am I talking good about them? Am I spoiling them that when I see them, do I treat them as one of my closest partners? Do I treat them as valuable? The next principle is the 101% principle. Find the 1% that we agree on and give it 100% of our effort. And I really like this one a lot because we can focus so much on the things we disagree about. And I think this is maybe one of the big problems in the world right now is that we're so divided on so many different issues. And I think that if we were really to focus on the things we agree on, we'd find that we actually agree on a whole lot more. But even if it's only 1%, can we find that 1% that we agree on and give that all of our focus? And I think that, when it comes to doing good in the world, when it comes to helping others, when it comes to accomplishing a mission, can we rally around that thing? It's one of the most beautiful things about bringing people on mission trips. I remember when I was leading mission trips in my own organization, I would have between 40 and 80 people on any given trip. We'd spend a week together, and I would have, 10 to 15 different churches represented, people coming from all different backgrounds, different states, different countries, different denominations, all different belief systems, and they would all come together to spend a week doing good work. They'd come together to spend a week helping build a house or build a school or paint school benches or whatever it is. And all the other differences just kind of fell to the wayside. And we really didn't have doctrinal debates or people getting upset at each other because they believe something slightly different. We were all focused on this one mission together. We were able to find that 1%, give it all of our focus, and it was absolutely amazing. Like people that you would have thought would have had big disagreements back home, when they came on the mission field, everything else just kind of subsided because we found the one thing that we could focus on. The next principle is the patience principle. The journey with others is slower than the journey alone. And this is so true. Like, it is so much faster to do things by yourself. It's so much easier sometimes to do it without others. Like, you know what? Don't bother me. I'm going to do it. I'll get it done faster. But there's something about not involving other people. You're going to hit a cap. You're going to hit a cap of what you can accomplish by yourself. Yes, you can go faster alone, but you can go much further with others. That when you build a team of people around you, when you work through other people, when you learn to allow other people in and to do the journey with you, not only is it more fulfilling, but you can accomplish so much more. And so I think that idea of being patient, that we need to realize that when we work with other people, when we even partner with other people, it's going to take some of our effort and energy, even to bring people on as donors. It takes time to process donations and write thank you letters and send out newsletter email updates and write blogs and do Facebook updates and all of that. Like, it takes time, effort, and energy, but it's so much more fulfilling, and we can do so much more when we're doing it with others. The next one is the celebration principle. The truest test of a relationship is not only how loyal we are when friends fail, but how thrilled we are when they succeed. And I think this again is just our this whole idea of, are we willing to invest in others? Are we willing to invest ourselves in others? Are we willing to see that other people matter? Do we get upset because other people succeed and we didn't, right? Like, these underlying things can end up eating up so much of our energy that it's hard for us to accomplish our own goals. We use up energy being jealous versus just going out there and celebrating other people. And I see this with organizations at times where we have so much comparison of another organization. Like they got so much money, they're accomplishing so much. Why can't I get that amount of money? Like it becomes the scarcity mindset that it leads into versus, you know what? Why don't we celebrate that another organization is doing great work? Why can't we celebrate that another organization got that grant? Why can't we celebrate that a friend is doing something really amazing or got this big donation rather than beating ourselves up because maybe we missed it or we didn't get the donation or whatever else, right? It becomes like we're in elementary school. We're all upset because somebody else got something we didn't. And that's not really helping us in investing in others. The last principle in this question is the high road principle. We go to a higher level when we treat others better than they treat us. And I think this is, a big one is how are we treating other people that we can operate in this higher level and not really take the low road where we treat others worse than they treat us, or the middle road where we treat others the same as they treat us. The high road helps us create positive relationships and it attracts others to us. It sets this positive agenda with others that even negative people find it hard to undermine. That when you take the high road, other people who are negative might try to undermine it, but they really can't. They can't really come back against that. And so all of these questions and all of these principles in the investment question have the idea of are we willing to invest in others? And if we want really good relationships, then we need to be willing to invest in others. And I think this is, just a big thing around fundraising that I want to talk about for a minute is that oftentimes we want our donor relationships to be one-sided. It's all about them investing in us, them investing in our mission. It's the other person investing in our calling, our outcomes, our programs. And that's not a true relationship. That it should be us investing in them as well. That the only place that we can really create a lasting legacy, to be able to leave a legacy in others is, or leave a legacy is really in other people. It's not about building this organization or having some company or a nonprofit or have this program that's going to last forever. Like it's not. Nothing we build in that sense will last forever. But the investment that we make in people is something that will last forever, that investment can continue to live on. And so even as we are talking to partners, we're talking to people about supporting our organizations, we should be thinking about how can I invest in them as well. I think that was one of the things that made our organization really it just was just powerful within our organization. It set us aside, my dad and I in our relationships with donors, with supporters, we really saw them as relationships. We wanted to invest just as much in the other person as they were investing in us. That when I was talking to a church, it wasn't just about them giving money to us. I cared just as much about a pastor and saying, what are you dealing with as an issue? Like right now, you're struggling in your youth ministry and you're struggling to be able to expand your program. Like, how can I invest in you? How can I help you? How can I come alongside you? And that was where these beautiful relationships ended up happening. Some of our strongest partnerships that we created with people had this idea of mutual investment, that we were invested in them. Sometimes I invested in other people before they even invested in us. Sometimes it was an investment into the other person before it came around. And so I think even as we're fundraising, we don't want to be afraid to ask. We don't want to be afraid to invite other people in. But sometimes it's investing in others first. And I'm thinking of a partnership right now that I have where, in a lot of ways, I invested a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of money, an organization that I supported with very little coming back to me for the first year or so. And now, after a year, year and a half, it's turning into this partnership where I'm seeing some coming back, but it was initial investment into the other person. And so I think that's a big thing in our relationships is are we willing to invest in others first? Are we willing to invest in others at all? And I think that's a really important thing that ultimately it's not just a fundraising principle, it's a legacy principle. Where do we want to leave our legacy? How do we want to leave our legacy? Are we willing to invest in other people? And so I want to encourage you this week as you go into all of the different things that you're doing to lead well, live whole, and leave a legacy.